In completing the raster project, most of you are going to want to go someplace different than you did for the initial study area, simply because making a 3D model of a mountainous area in Alaska is going to be a lot more fun than doing it for the relatively flat areas that we've been doing and using for most of the work that you guys have been doing up until this point. So the easiest way to get height data that you are going to use for this project is to go to the elevation.alaska.gov site and go ahead and click on the overall model of Alaska and scroll into the area that you are interested in doing and in modeling. So it's really up to you, the area that you pick, but any good mountainous area is probably going to be a fairly successful place to go. Once you have scrolled down to the area that you want to look at, go to the upper right-hand corner and use the Area of Interest tool. And then you can make a rectangle for the area that you decide you want to model. And then when you download the data, all you need to download is the digital terrain model data. You don't need any of the other information that may come up. You'll see that it is saying that there are 2 files ready. I'm going to go ahead and download 2 files, but it is useful in this project just to stick with one of the files that you download. But if you go ahead and download that and then save it someplace where you can use it later on, it should be relatively easy to pick out which of the ones you want to use. That data has now downloaded and it's in a zipped file. So the first thing you need to do is click on it and say extract all, and it should bring up a dialog box asking where you want that to go. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the desktop, the same place the other one is located. I'll drag that over now. It appeared in another part of my screen. And then what I wanted to show to you is before you actually use these data, you should open this up, and it's going to require you to drill down a little bit into it. So this is what opens up first. Keep going, and eventually you'll find the zipped files that you are going to want to use. And these need to be extracted as well. So I'm just going to extract one of them right now. There's the dialog box. And it should just put them in the same location. And when it brings them up, what you're going to find is there are a lot of different files here, but what you are going to be using when you do this will be the TIFF file that is located right here. So I'm going to turn these off now, and I'm going to go back to ArcGIS Pro. So I'm in ArcGIS Pro now, and what I'm going to do in order to create the file I want is first open it up, and you'll just add the data as usual, except this time you'll be adding a raster data. And then you should go ahead and make a clipper as you've made it before. So I just turn that clipper on and you can see the purple box that it's created. And then go ahead and clip the data to form this clipped surface that you're creating right here. Typically, the easiest way to do that is to just go to the tools and type in clip raster and go to the data management tool of clip raster and put the input raster being the one that you have downloaded and put on, as I'll do right here. The output extent is going to be that raster clipper that you've created. And then the input features box should be clicked. Remember to, before you do this, to save the files that you've already made, including the clipper itself, and turn ArcGIS Pro back on so that it works. And one thing you will notice when you see this is that the colors have changed a little bit between the original terrain model and the new one. Here the colors have been sort of heightened a little bit, and that's because when you clip it, it sort of recalibrates, and it's going to give you the opportunity to make a slightly better hill shade and also other models from it as well. But now we're done and we have that. The next thing that we can do is zoom in here a little bit so we get to see it, and go ahead and go back to the toolbox, and this time you're going to create a hillshade. And you'll want to use that hillshade spatial analyst tool to do this. And typically this works pretty easily. The input raster is going to be that clipped raster, and the output, you can call it hillshade or whatever you want to. You can stick with the defaults here, which instruct how the shading will take place, and click Run. And this is so fast, generally speaking, that we'll be able to see it right away. And in fact, we are able to see that hillshade right away. So that's the second thing that we are going to be doing after we've done that clipping. And then the final thing that you have to do, although as we'll talk about in class, there are other options for you, is to put contour lines on the map. And so we're going to create a feature class of contours from a raster surface. The input raster will again be that clip data, not the hillshade data. Make sure you use that clip data. You're going to create the contours, and then you have to come up with a contour interval. And that's really your call, what you want it to be, and depending on how steep the topography is as well. I'm going to make mine 20 meters, and I will go ahead and run that. And again, it should create this relatively quickly, and you can see that it has. Now, I am going to actually change the symbology just a little bit. Currently, we have in the contours this sort of greenish color right here. I'm going to change it and by going to the properties and going from that bluish green color into a more traditional one for contours, like a brown, but I'm still going to keep it as 1 point. Now we can zoom in here and we can see these contour intervals have been created. So this is the first part of the project. After this, we are going to work on turning it into more of a 3D model.